60 Minutes is upset. They're dismayed as to why platforms like Twitter don't listen to so-called misinformation experts like this.
The statistics I've seen are just for the Twitter platform, but my understanding is that they responded to about 30% of the things that we sent them. And I think on the majority of those, they put labels.
But just a third?
But just a third, yeah.
And do you suspect that Facebook was the same?
Yeah.
Now, if you're wondering if you've ever seen that so-called misinformation expert before, well, as you can see, you certainly may have. Just kidding. But the comparison is quite apropos. When all is said and done, those woke leftists, all of them, are triggered over the fact that you and I are simply not censored enough. Right now, as we speak, the issue of social media control and censorship is making its way up to the Supreme Court. Essentially, the government is arguing that they have the right to force social media owners like Elon Musk to censor what is said on their platforms. Obviously, this is a huge red flag regarding an essential freedom that's foundational to a flourishing society. And while it's certainly true that governments have always been trying to stifle dissenting voices in some way, shape, or form, the lunacy of wokeness is taking censorship to a whole new level. And it's not just happening on social media. In the book publishing industry, censorship of conservative voices is at an all-time high. Woke publishers won't even look at a manuscript if it doesn't fit the outrageous parameters of their leftist agenda. But patriots are rising up and fighting back, and that's why I'm so grateful and excited to share my guest with you today. My good friend Joanna Hunt founded Silversmith Press and Publish and Go, so that conservatives can bypass the censorship police and have their voices heard. Not only is she a New York Times best-selling ghostwriter who's spent time working with the top names in the business, but she publishes conservative voices and lets patriots like you and me tell our stories. She's created an entire process from beginning to end, from planning out to writing to marketing your book. And you can learn more about that by clicking on the link in the description below. So, Joanna, welcome. Great to see you again, as always.
Thank you, Dr. Turley. It is always my pleasure to be on your program and to share with your amazing audience.
Yeah, you have quite the rapport with our Turley talkers, that's for sure. They love you, and we've had you on the channel a number of times. And all those books that I have, most of them on top of my fireplace mantle there, are books that you helped publish, that you helped write and go through the whole process with fellow Turley talkers. It's just amazing. I mean, we're having a veritable library here of patriot authors. It's wonderful.
Yes. This is a merger of my two loves, and that is standing up for the freedoms that our country was founded on, which is your passion as well, standing up for faith, family, and freedom, and helping people find their voice and helping people have that avenue to express themselves right now. I mean, as you said, there's so many places where the conservative voice is being marginalized, shut down, silenced, turned away. We've had so many people come to us say, yeah, I tried to query with other publishers and they just say, well, if you don't fit XYZ, demographic and protocol and ideals, then we're not even interested. And so that's not right. And that's where we can step in.
It's amazing. Yeah. And you're doing great things. And you're a Texas girl to boot, which is just,
oh, yes.
Then you're just showing off at that point. But, I mentioned in the intro, the 60 Minutes airing a segment where they were so upset that you and I are not censored enough on social media. We got free speech cases before the Supreme Court. There's enormous pressure on Elon Musk, who's now himself a Texas guy, as I understand it, in Austin, to censor Twitter. I'm curious, when you're seeing all of this, because you're on the front lines of this stuff, when you're seeing all of this, what connections do you see? I mean, you're already alluding to it to a certain extent, but between the censorship that's happening on social media with the censorship that's happening in the book publishing industry.
Yeah, no, 100%, Dr. Turley. And I will have to say, during the last election, I founded a nonprofit and a group called the Liberty and Justice Action Group, where we were doing events in our own city and making a difference. And I got a note from Facebook they offered to pay me to shut my profile down during the election last year. So I
Wow.
know firsthand about the censorship and the coaxing away of the conservative message. And of course, I did not accept that. That just impassioned me all the more to speak the truth louder than the lies. And
Right.
so, yes, one thing I love about a book, Dr. Turley, is once a book is in print and it's out in the world,
Yeah.
somebody can't come by like they can on a digital platform and change it and shut it
Yeah.
down. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember looking at the definition of communism on Webster's dictionary, and that changes pretty regularly
Yeah.
on Webster.com. And, nobody can do that when you have a book in
Right.
hand, and it's like we need to proclaim the truth. And, I have authors with all different kinds of passions, right? So we just look for a value alignment of faith, family, and freedom. It doesn't have to be a political leaning book, it doesn't have to be a religious book, but what it has to be is a book where we are expressing our values
Mhm.
in a clean and clear way. And so, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, like we have a right to share our voice, to share our platforms. Parents want books for their kids that aren't laced with agenda and political ideal. Where are the kids books that are just clean and fun? And so
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we're doing, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I love about Silversmith Press and everything that you're doing. I mean, it covers the gamut: fiction, nonfiction. It's got theology, but it's got history. It's got cooking. It's got everything: fashion, you name it. Autobiography, biography, histories. It's everything, but it's good. That's the thing. There's no DEI. There's no woke nonsense. It's just good, old fashioned, timeless writing. You
Yes.
know, it's interesting. That leads me to the question about about these industries getting Bud Lighted. And we're seeing that more and more commonly with Disney. We've seen it with Target. Tyson Foods now looks like they're getting it because they fired Americans to turn around and hire 40,000 migrants. Where do you see the publishing industry going if they keep ignoring conservative traditionalist books and only pushing the latest woke storylines and characters?
Well, and there is definitely a push. We talked about it on a previous episode where a German conglomerate was trying to take over. They already own one of the top 5 publishers, but they were trying to take over another top 5 publisher, where they would effectively control 50% of the publishing market.
Hmm.
But people are pushing back. They're pushing back on where they buy their books, how they buy their books. I have people come to me and they say, if I don't want to buy a book from Amazon, where can I go?
Where do
And
I
that's
go?
one
Yep.
of, yeah, I mean, that's one of the other things that we offer is we publish everywhere books are sold, which is not very common in the boutique. I call it the boutique publishing space. But because of my background and connections, I was able to secure a partnership with the largest distributor in in the world. And so they do the distribution white label, which other publishers who have different ideals, their distributors are even canceling them. So if you have, let me see if I can get this out straight, even if you have a conservative message with a conservative leaning publisher, their distributor, one book I'm thinking
Right.
of was Simon and Schuster distribution,
Right.
they would not let that book go to market. And
Right.
so we have worked very hard to make sure that we give the very best experience with writing and coaching. I do all the coaching programs myself personally and help bring that message to life in an excellent way. And then when you go through our editing and our creative process, I will put our product up against any top 5 publisher out there. I think we just have the best design team
You do.
really on the planet. And so we give you a really excellent product,
Yeah.
but with the freedom and flexibility that comes with having a collaborative partner.
Yeah, I mean, your books are beautiful. I mean, they really are. The covers, they're aesthetically lovely, and they're big. A lot of them are just real thick tomes, as it were. Can I put you on the spot? I mean, can you share with us a little bit about what you're currently working on, or a book you recently published?
Yes. Well, I have an author I recently signed that is a little bit controversial in the space. So she is a dynamite young lady who launched a product to help women. And I don't want to say her name yet, but the government immediately started attacking her with all kinds of lawsuits. They wanted the technology that she brought to market. So I'm really excited. That'll probably be coming out towards the end of the year. But right now, we're launching Going Back to Find the Way Forward, which is just a book about our collective history and kind of getting back to our roots and the Great Awakening and all of
Wow.
those types of topics. We have coming up several wonderful autobiographies, several wonderful fictions, those big, thick books. Those are
Mhm.
mostly the fiction books.
Those are. I noticed that. That's
My
right.
creative geniuses. And I tell my authors, I say, well, how long should my book be? And I say, as long as your words are good, I
Mhm.
don't care.
Mhm. Right,
But I
right.
mean, within reason,
As
we
as long as it needs to be, as long as it ought to be, right? Yeah,
as,
yeah.
as long as readers are turning pages and
There
they're
you
loving
go.
their material, that's what
I
we
love
do.
it.
And so those are all things that we address in the book coaching program. So it's a coaching program, publishing, and then we do have some marketing opportunities with our partnership with your organization, which is really exciting as well. I love that you're getting behind the authors that are joining this program. We have the Turley Talks bookstore, which we will be sending an email out very soon, so you can
Wow.
see the
I
collective
can't
of the
believe
books.
it. Dang. That I mean, that
Yes.
is I remember we talked, I think it was like a year ago, year and a half ago, and I said something like that. Wouldn't it be neat if we had our own library, our own Turley Talkers
Yes.
library, our audience members published books for everyone to see, and it's happening. And it just took like I don't a year. I mean, it didn't take that long. It's pretty impressive what you guys churned out. It's incredible.
Yeah,
Uh,
our whole program, if somebody gets in and gets busy and stays on track, you can have your book
yeah,
in hand, written in as little as 12 weeks. Then we
yeah.
go through the editing and refining process and getting it into publishing. So in about, it's another 3 months really for the publishing process. So it's really one of the quickest ways to get your book to market as well. So I'm really excited about that. And, I just want to encourage everyone out there, whether you are a reader or a writer, support your fellow conservative and the initiatives that they're taking. I know we're looking for that parallel economy where we're supporting conservative voices, but we can each do something. And if your passion isn't book writing, tap into what that is. We're moving into an election year. There's going to be all kinds of noise on social and the news, and we're going to be looking left to right. Thank God Dr. Turley is going to be full on helping us weed through all of that information. But I just want to say, don't get distracted from your purpose and your focus.
That's
Open
right.
those emails, learn what you need to learn, and get busy about whatever it is that is your passion, whether it's writing a book, whether it's starting a business, whether it's starting a nonprofit, whether it's educating people. Like, don't lose sight of why you are here this year.
Yeah.
Keep busy and find your voice and make a difference, because that's what we need. Each person influencing their own sphere.
Uh, what you're saying is so inspiring, but I know for a lot of people could be also intimidating, right? I mean, so
Yes.
how do you? I mean, and again, I know I mean, you're a coach, you're a teacher. I mean, how do you help conservative writers overcome the intimidation? They want to do it, but there's a fear, there's an anxiety about it. How do you
Oh,
overcome that?
yes, 100%. Well, I always say that writing a book is a head trip more than anything. And
Hmm.
it's very much an emotional work versus an academic work. And we
That's
do
great.
kind of
True.
all show up with these same fears and insecurities.
Yeah.
And I have found that if we have a value and mission alignment, and then if you have enough passion, I can personally get a book out of anybody, because it really is the truth that people who want to write books do so because they've been impacted by a book. And if you've been impacted by a book, you've probably read a lot of books. So you already have kind of a non conscious program inside of what good writing should look like. I can't tell you how many times I have had a brand new author with no experience show up to one of my groups. And the first time they share what they wrote, they're terrified and they share what they wrote. And everyone else in the group is like holding back the tears. They're
Oh,
on
wow.
the edge of their
Yeah.
seats. They're like, oh my
Love that.
goodness,
I
like
love that.
keep going. And
Yeah.
that is the key, is that you don't have to have the fancy prose and poetry. You don't have to have a literary degree, or you don't have to be an expert in grammar. We have people that handle all that stuff. What we need from you is just that authentic connection
Mhm.
with your reader. And so there is a way when we shut down the noise of our brains and our fears and our insecurities and we go, who do I want to impact and how?
Mm.
And then we create a world for the reader to get lost in.
Yeah.
And that's where the beauty is in your book, is having
Mm.
impact, having purpose, having an authentic writing experience will yield an authentic reading experience. So I have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And it's one of my greatest moments. To my students, if you don't believe you can do it, borrow my belief. If you follow the process,
That's
so
cool.
many people have come through this before, and they just get done. First time writers, they have great books. We have safeguards along the way to get feedback, to do some market research, and make sure that your message is hitting the mark.
And you give a little bit of a tease of all of this, all of this wealth of knowledge that you have in a free training, and you have one coming up.
Yes.
I have personally sat and listened to them. They are amazing, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for anyone who has been dying to write a book. And now, I mean, this is not coincidence that you're watching this right now. And here is the number one person out there who can help you do that. Can you just give us a little bit of that tease, just a little overview of what we can expect if we could click on the link below and sign up for the free training?
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Turley. This is your opportunity to just kind of get your toes a little bit wet. Just go to publishandgo.com/Turley, register for the free training. And I say it's how you can write a best-selling book, without feeling overwhelmed, without dealing with woke publishers or getting lost in the process. Everything seems hard if you've never done it before and if you don't know how to do it. But with coaching, accountability, and support, you really can learn to do anything. I tell my son, what are 3 things you need to learn anything? Show up with a good attitude,
Mhm.
listen to your teacher, and do your best. And so
I love it.
that's what I live
Yeah.
by with my program as well. So you come to the free training. We'll just take some time where you can explore your own heart and message and passion and say, okay, is this the right path for me? One of my favorite quotes is by author E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web. And
Mhm.
he said,
Yeah.
the writer who waits for ideal circumstances under which to write will die without ever getting a
Yeah,
word
that's
on
for
the
sure.
page. And so I say to people, if you get to the end of your life and you don't get your message out and you don't get your book out into the world and you don't have the impact that you're passionate about, how will you feel about that? Well,
Right.
most people won't feel too great. So we don't want that to happen to you. So start by showing up. It's so easy. Go to the link, publishandgo.com/Turley, register, join me for the free training, and you will be on your way.
Oh, it's so awesome. And it is. And again, it's the proof is back there. There's no preaching here. It's all proof. It's all showing. It's wonderful. Gang, you don't want to miss this training. Trust me, if you've ever considered writing a book, what do you got to lose if you think about it, right? Joanna's training is free, and I guarantee you it'll leave you ready to share your stories like your fellow courageous patriots have before you. So click on that link below or sign up for the free training. Click on the link below and sign up for the free training, or go to publishandgo.com/Turley. That's publishandgo.com/Turley. Joanna, you are amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Keep expanding that library, that Turley Talks library. I love it.
Yes, Dr. Turley, we will keep proclaiming truth one book at a time. And thank you
Absolutely.
so much for everything you're doing and for supporting this initiative and for supporting your amazing audience.
Oh, thank you, Joanna.